Hey everyone, this is DWS Darius. Right now I'm doing a little bit of maintenance on the pond. Right here we have this pump right here. This is a pump that relies on solar lights, and this is the pump that it sends water to my bog. And it was I noticed my bog was dried up and it wasn't working, so just trying to get that back in order. Today I'm doing a little bit of maintenance on the pond. Really quickly, check out these lilies. These are lilies that are supposed to flower, really nice flowers, and none of them flowered and they're all ripped up. And the reason why is because of these bugs right here. Now, this is the first time I ever saw these bugs, and apparently these are lily bugs and they eat lilies primarily, and they've eaten all my lilies, so I missed out on that bloom. And those are not the only bugs that I'm seeing for the first time this season. But yeah, you can see over here the bog, everything's like super crispy, and it's because we had some hot days and this thing for some reason wasn't working. But right now I had to clean it up a little bit, and we have water entering into the bog again, and it's going to fill up. This thing is about, I'd say, 1.5 feet deep, so it's going to take some time to fill up, but once it is full, it's going to fill up and then overflow. And while it's in here, it's being filtered by these plants, and the plants are creeping Jenny, which is not really liking the drought, so a lot of that is crispy. We have some horsetail back there, the skinny one, that's doing good because it has deep roots. And then we have these right here. These are cattails, and they're doing great too because they have deep roots as well. And what I love about these cattails is, look at that. This is in my backyard. You expect to see something like this in the wild. I have this in my backyard, in my little bog. So I'm just doing a little bit of maintenance on the pond, and I want to give you guys just a little update on what's happening out here, because there's always a lot of stuff happening, and a lot of cool things that I witnessed while I'm doing the water change. So first off, come over here. I'm going to turn off the waterfall really quickly. And you know, this season was the first season of this waterfall being active. I just built it back in spring, and this thing is maturing very nicely and very quickly. We have a ton of algae in there, which I love, because you know, algae is not only beneficial for me. I like the look of it because it makes it look a lot more natural. Different types of algae. We have brown algae, we have green algae. I even saw one rock that looked blue. So a lot of cool stuff in there with the algae. We have the plants doing nicely. I added these hens and chicks, and you can see when I first added these two, the big ones, those are called hens. Look at all the chicks that they produced all around them. We have one that I planted underneath that rock. It wanted full sun, so look at how it's reaching for the sun. So those plants doing awesome. I added some thyme, you know, the herb, a little piece right here, a little piece back there, doing good. And then we have the native plants that just came on their own. So really the setup is maturing very nicely. And then I have one aquatic plant in there, and it has some nice roots. And this thing, like I said, is maturing really nicely. Now of course you do get some things that you don't really want, like I have a bunch of bugs in here. I think these are some type of bug larvae. You see them wiggling? And that's pretty nasty, but I've had this for years, and I can't get rid of them no matter what I try. But they do have some advantages, because when I turn off the pond, they get washed down in there, and then you can actually see some of the mosquito fish in here come and eat them. So I do have my underwater camera, and I'm going to sit down and see if we could catch some of them feeding on the larvae. So every time I turn off the waterfall, those mosquito fish, they gather around and they eat the bug larvae that goes in there. Once again, I don't know what that is, but there's a bunch of them and they all go in there. And then they may get some ants. Look at all the ants back there on that rock. So that's just pretty cool to witness. They also are there when the waterfall is on, which is shocking because that is a lot of pressure. But this is obviously the best time to see them. And overall, their population is doing very well. Now, last winter, a lot of them died off. I don't know why, but a lot of them I found dead on the bottom. And by spring, it was only like 10 of them. And now I think I have at least 50. And it's cool because they travel in groups. So we have this group over here. I'm not sure how well you can see it, but we have about 6 of them right here. Over there, we have another group, about 6 more. I see a big female and a lot of males around her. So maybe they travel in groups where there's like 1 or 2 females and then a bunch of males around them. But we have like 6 groups of these mosquito fish just traveling around, and that's pretty cool. You know me, I always like the combination of big fish and small fish together. We have the jumbo koi and then we have these tiny mosquito fish. I just think it makes a really natural setup. Besides that, you notice that most of the koi and goldfish are over there. Well, all of the koi and goldfish are over there, and that's because we have a lot of aggression over here in the deep part, and that's coming from my sunfish. So you may have seen that one right there in the shadows. We have one over there that is a pumpkin seed and is guarding that little territory over there. Any sunfish that come, any koi or goldfish that goes over there, he does attack them, or she rather, because I think it's a female. Like you saw her just run over there to guard that little nest. And then we have a big bluegill over here. The bluegill, I think another female, she's about 8 inches and she guards this little area. Right now she's hiding, but her face is sticking out over here and she guards this territory. And then there's one more. Now these 2 sunfish, I remember they were in my native aquarium and I brought them out here. That's the reason why I know that that's a pumpkin seed and this one is a bluegill. But there's a third one and I don't remember putting him in here, and he definitely looks very different. He has some stripes and everything, and earlier before I even came out here I saw him fighting the bluegill over here. So 3 sunfish in here and they're laying eggs. And the crazy thing is that normally they lay eggs and then like a week later they stop because I have no males. I believe they're all females because they're all laying eggs. And normally if you do have a male, they both would be like together guarding the eggs, kind of like how cichlids do. Look right here. She's running away because of the sunfish in here. But yeah, normally they would guard the eggs, a pair, if I had a pair. So I do believe I have all females, and I believe because of that the eggs are never fertile. And yet here we are months later and these guys are still guarding their eggs, still being very aggressive. And eventually I may take out these sunfish. So I'm going to go in there with the camera. Even this bluegill was chasing my hand and chasing the camera. So you know they're getting very aggressive if they're willing to attack me as big as I am. And no doubt this behavior that I'm seeing from these sunfish is breeding behavior because, like I said, they're being very aggressive. And every now and then when they are distracted, you will see all the koi rush over here, grab something and run away. and that's obviously them eating the eggs of the sunfish. So it's interesting behavior, but this pond is way too small for them to be taking this whole side. And this is the deeper side, so the koi will come over here to stay cool and everything, and now they can't because these sunfish. And it is pretty warm. The water is very warm, and I guess it's in the 80s because today the weather is like in the 90s, and this whole week it was in the 90s. So we do have some warm weather. No doubt the koi would appreciate. Look at them. They're being chased away, but it looks like they were eating eggs when they come over here, and they just got chased away. But yeah, the weather is in the 90s, and because of that, I want the koi to be able to come to these deeper ends, which I do believe is more cooler than those shallow ends, and they can't because of the sunfish. So probably at night, I'm going to go and try to hunt them. You can see, look at them watching me. And there's 3 of those guys in there. I just want to turn that back on. While I was making an underwater video, I cleaned that out, so that's good to go. And you know, this filter is essential during these hot days because, you know, in the heat you want as much oxygen as possible, and that's the best way to do it, with a ton of surface agitation. And then over here we have this is the jungle area, a lot of shade. I guess over here is pretty cool as well because of all the shade from the plants, but it's probably cooler down there in the deep end. But over here is like the nursery because we have all these plants. There's a ton of baby fish in here. Now at the moment there's a bunch of shadows, so you probably won't be able to catch anything on camera. But yeah, a bunch of babies inside these pots and everything. And you know, once a year I like to bring my tropical fish from my aquariums out here into the pond. This year I wasn't going to do it because I had no reason, but then my paradise gourami, you know, he spawned, and I had his babies in the same tank as himself. You guys told me that he would eat his babies, so I ended up taking them out, put them in a pond. And I was going to make a video about it, but he's actually hiding. He's been in here for a couple of weeks now, but he stays in his pot. So you could kind of see inside this brush. So we have this piece, you see that little beige piece underneath that blue piece, that's his body. He stays inside this pot for the most part of the day. So whenever the koi are over here, he's inside that pot. Whenever they're out, you can catch him swimming around, hunting stuff. It looks like he's hunting bugs or whatever, but he's in there. He's the only fish for the summer, and he's gonna stay in here until his babies are big enough, and then I'll move him back into that 20-gallon aquarium. Now to wrap up my weekly maintenance, I'm just gonna top it off. We're about maybe an inch from where we should be, and that's because of evaporation. It's also because I take out water to feed my plants every now and then, and eventually that water comes down an inch. I'm gonna add this water, and this is beneficial because it's added nice cool water to the pond, and no doubt the koi appreciate it. Look at them down here. They're all down here, and it looks like they're eating. And as I told you guys, the sunfish look like they're spawning, so I don't know if the sunfish are back-to-back laying eggs, but it looks like the koi go down there and eat their eggs. So I'm just gonna go in there with the camera and swim around and just give you guys a look at what's going on under there. Just a very natural setup, a lot going on, and it's just always a lot to see. Alright, so this is a little bit after I did the top off. I came over here and you can see the koi now that the water is higher, they're actually trying to get up there to eat the bugs that's coming down. So like I said, very natural setup, and I love how everything just works together.